And Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he desperately wanted an investigation he initiated by the Competition Bureau to find evidence of price gouging by retail grocers. So he must have been terribly disappointed when the report found that not only were grocers not gouging citizens on food prices, but their profits were also modest, in the words of the authors. That's it, modest is what they called them. Net profit margins for major grocery retailers sits around 3.6%. That's pretty thin. Now, the Liberal government's been collapsing in the polls, and Trudeau is desperate. He ignored the results of his own study and jumped out there, and he's trying to blame the grocers yet again for the food price increases. Now, he's taking a threatening tone with them. He said he'll impose taxes on grocers if they can't tell him how they will lower grocery prices by Thanksgiving, which is just a few weeks away. Now, even if those grocers decided to be completely altruistic and become non-profit organizations, the price drops on food would be negligible at best. Again, they only got 3.6% to work with. Shareholders, of course, would say to heck with that. Then they're barely making anything anyways. They'd flee. And stores would start closing. We wouldn't see new ones constructed, and we would actually see food shortages. Not only is Trudeau ignoring the results of his own data, but he's also playing loose with his language in an effort to villainize Canadian businesses. He angrily spits out the words record profits, as if profits are an evil thing. Those record profits are due to a declining dollar and a growing volume of sales. They're not taking any more as far as profit margins go. As long as their margins remain in the realm of 3.6%, nobody's getting a windfall here. What will Trudeau's taxes look like when these grocers fail in finding savings where they don't exist? I mean, how on earth would laying a tax upon grocers reduce prices for anybody? I mean, we got Liberal simpletons, and they've been flooding social media and cheering Trudeau's war with the grocers. They want easy solutions to complex problems, but it just never works that way. The numbers look big because there's only 5 major grocery chains in Canada. They have to operate in high volumes in order to keep the prices down. Logistics, buying power, training efficiency, and management systems, they're all superior with large businesses. That's why products usually cost more at farmers markets, for example, where you're buying direct from a producer, than they do at the big box store. If we did do something as ridiculous as forcing big box stores to break up, in some sort of antitrust legislation, grocery prices would go through the roof and selection would go into the toilet. Nobody suggested that yet. But if Trudeau thinks he can somehow make food prices get lower through adding taxes to them, I won't put anything beyond them. He's the man who said budgets balance themselves. Now, the heads of Canada's largest grocery chains, they dutifully attended a meeting with Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland and Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, Francois-Philippe Champagne, this week. They came from the meeting, said, they'll see if they can find ways to stabilize food prices. They took part in Trudeau's theater, made their statements, but nothing's going to change. The grocers know that. Economists know that. Anybody with even the tiniest understanding of basic economics knows that. The thing that's questionable is whether or not Trudeau knows that. If the Prime Minister imposes taxes on an industry claiming that a 3.6% profit margin is a windfall, he's going to send shockwaves to the Canadian economy. What businesses are going to be next? Most industries have higher margins than that. Dairy farmers, for example, they have profit margins around 20%. Supply management systems been serving them well. Canada's inflationary situation is due to several factors. We got high new taxes, such as the carbon tax. We got massive immigration numbers adding to demand as they need housing and food like everybody else. We've got ongoing supply chain issues going on and lingering still from the pandemic lockdowns. And of course, we got the massive debt the government's taken on. Until all those issues are somehow addressed, Canada's going to see continued inflation. Going after grocery retailers, it won't do a damn thing. Trudeau's desperately seeking distractions from his own dismal record as his public support evaporates. Just like his bombshell about India allegedly assassinating a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil. Why did Trudeau wait until the day Parliament opened before making those allegations? And why hasn't Trudeau expanded upon or provided some evidence then of such a serious charge? Let's pray this isn't a stunt on the part of Trudeau. It's terrifying to think that a governing party as diplomatically and economically as inept as the Trudeau Liberals might still have 2 more years of power ahead of it. So guys, the food crisis, it's just warming up.